Hey guys, I'm MG, and today I'll be looking at Cars, which is a 2006 American animated sports drama film that was directed by John Lasseter, who directed Toy Story, and written by a whole lot of people. However, why don't we stop flying in the air and start reviewing this movie right now? This film is decent. Like, it does have its moments that were really engaging, but a lot of it just seemed a bit generic and bland. And I think my main issue is just how much time we spend in Radiator Springs. Like, bro, this film is almost 2 hours, and we spend like 1 hour and 15 minutes in Radiator Springs. And most of the time we're there, it feels a bit drawn out. Wolverine tries to pad out the runtime with pointless scenes that were sometimes a little entertaining, but mainly felt unnecessary. Now, that's not the case entirely, as it does have some great moments that are beneficial to a film, and they show up enough to keep me entertained in the whole film, but most of the time, it feels like a waste of time watching all these scenes. And I would have been fine with it if the characters were endearing, but they're really not. Like, they range from interesting and intriguing to forgettable and unfunny. Lightning MacQueen was alright, and his character arc was pretty solid, with Owen Wilson having an enjoyable tone to his voice acting, which I really liked. But the character was mainly a bit uninteresting. I really like Sally and Doc, who have a nice bond with Lightning, and great voice acting from both Paul Newman and Bonnie Hunt. Plus, Chick Hicks was a pretty fun villain. I wish he was in the movie more, but he was still fun enough, with energetic acting from Michael Keaton. But every other character was really unmemorable, especially Mater, who completely fails to be a comic relief. And the other blank characters don't add basically anything towards the story. And speaking of the story, it's very thin and basic, which might have been expected for a film about cars, but still. I wish that this film had a lot more substance in it, with where it's not a bunch of generic, uncomedic moments thrown into the second act for the sake of increasing the runtime. The world building is also not that good. Like, this Cars universe doesn't feel different enough to the real world, and it's not nearly as interesting as it could have been in the film. There were a few plot holes as well, like how Chick not gets caught for crashing the cars in the first race. Like, that's just utter nonsense. But outside of that, this movie was okay. The animation holds up surprisingly well from 2006, with a lot of really nice looking setting shots, and numerous amounts of funny character expressions that work quite well in the film as a whole. The racing scenes are obviously the best part of the movie, with where they are quite enticing, and it was really fun seeing cars crash in the opening scene. The music was quite exciting and helps highlight the tone, which I appreciate. This film also has some funny moments that were quite entertaining, and do prevent the second act from being fully boring. The emotional moments work as well, and were a nice character study of Lightning and Doc. Like, the scene with Doc explaining his backstory was one of the best moments in the film, and it was quite sad to hear how Doc was never cared about, which is reflected on Lightning, as he used to not care about anyone else as well. It's really neat and quite genius for Lightning's character development across the film, so great stuff. The pacing was fine enough. Like, they set to the plot at a good time, and while the second act was kind of a slog, at least the final act was pretty fast, with some very sharp pacing, but works quite well. So overall, I had a fine enough time with this movie, with where it has its highs, but a fair share of lows as well. And it's definitely not the best Pixar movie ever. But if you're interested in this franchise, then I would say it's worth watching at least once. 6.5 out of 10. Goodbye everyone, and thank you for watching. Bye.